Welcome to A Day in the Life. Join us as we get an inside look into today's athletes, their sports, lifestyles, and entertainment.
Welcome to A Day in the Life Unplugged. It's a podcast series that provides coaches and athletes with a platform to connect directly with their fans, get exclusive athlete-to-coach content, covering their mindset, life away from sports, motivation, and workouts. Join us for free weekly segments, discussions, and more. We are joined by head women's soccer coach, Coach Cano. Thank you for joining us, Coach. And then we are joined by Byanka, Freshy Rivera. She just graduated, so she's going to be playing in college next year. Hopefully, if we have fall sports, we'll talk about that a little later in the interview. But thank you guys both for coming, and we'll go ahead and start with a question that we always ask: is how's quarantine life treated both of you so far?
Well, it's been interesting. I think I know one of my fellow coaching colleagues on Twitter a few days back she put it best when she said kind of tired of hearing the word unprecedented, if I hear that word one more time. But no, it's been it's been a kind of mixture of obviously tough times. Everybody's got tough times, but also I think when you're of a positive mindset, kind of looking and finding and realizing along the way that there's a lot of silver linings. I know for me, this is definitely the most I've ever probably had an opportunity to spend with my family. So they're about sick of me. They're wishing and hoping and waiting for Dad to go back to work.
It did kind of changed everything up with how my senior year ended and how my college year is going to start. Since all the summer workouts were canceled, we couldn't really do much outside. We couldn't have much personal contact, and graduation got canceled. And next week, actually on Friday, I will be going over to Western Texas. And so I guess it's going to be a pretty good start, safety measures and everything. But it's been a big change.
So what's the nickname about? How did we get Freshy? What's the story on that?
So when I was a freshman.
That was the first question I think I asked when I arrived.
When I was a freshman, I made the varsity team. I was only one of the 3 freshmen that made it. And there was this volunteer. He was like kind of our coach. And he would make fun of me calling me Freshy. And it just stuck. Like everybody was like, Freshy this, Freshy that. And still, up to now, it's still Freshy.
Hey, there's worse reasons to have a nickname than to make varsity as a freshman. So that's not too bad of a nickname. I'll take that for sure. What are your thoughts that soccer was kind of at least as far as worldwide, reopening? Soccer started playing earlier than anyone else that I can recall. Have you guys been able to watch much of that? What are your thoughts on some of the fake crowd noise that I'm really hoping doesn't get brought into the basketball stuff? What are y'all thoughts on the restarting of soccer?
Yeah, I think it was good. It was good to see. I think you also see in terms of, I guess, protocols, procedures, the mentality of different, different athletes in different leagues in different countries. How, here we are, we couldn't get through 1 week of Major League Baseball without, damn near half a team, right, going down. But yet the English Premier League, for one, that's just one European league. They made it through, I think, 8 weeks with, I think they had 2 or 3 positive tests.
How much of a difference, we've talked a lot to all these different sports about the effect that crowds have at their games. What are y'all's thoughts about, your own seasons in the fall, in both your college and your next season as a coach? What are y'all's thoughts on that, playing without fans? How big of an impact do you think that makes on you guys in your sport?
I think it does make a big difference because you could be playing and at some point, hearing the crowd there, cheering you on, like it makes you like have that feeling of support. And then when there's those games that nobody shows up because I don't know, it's too cold, and it's like you're just alone, just there playing. So I think it does make a big difference.
I often tell people that at our soccer games, because we play in the winter, and people think that it does get colder out here in West Texas, but to me it's still bearable, obviously. But because of that, that often does have an effect in terms of our crowd turnout. So I always joke and tell people that our fans have been kind of social distancing before it was cool, So
What are some of the things that you guys have been doing to maintain that camaraderie, that team building, that chemistry with you guys been doing the Zoom thing, group chats, what's been the way to kind of keep the team bonding and communication on both your parts, and how has that maybe been a little bit more difficult, or has it been, has it proven to be something where it's actually beneficial in some ways?
After their spring break week, we pretty much religiously have had team meetings every week. There was about a 2-week break there. There was a 1-week break there immediately after school ended, and then about another week after the 4th of July. And up until recently, we've pretty much been having meetings every week. And then we also, one of the things that we do is through our social media, through our Twitter team page, we send out there's an actual weekly training schedule that we construct, that we put out there. And so what the training schedule consists of is essentially your strength, your conditioning, your flexibility, your mobility, and agility. And then in addition to that, they're also expected to get about, on average, at least a minimum of 200 to 300 touches on the ball, at least 3 or 4 times a week.
What is the thing that you miss the most? I know this might have actually been a breaking news, but what do you miss the most from the game? Both coaching and playing.
I miss everything about the game, honestly. Just from the very start, from getting my cleats on, getting my uniform on, till the end, to taking everything off. It's just that rush you feel when you're in the game. That I need to make this run. I need to make this pass. We need to win this game. And even if we lose, it was a great experience.
A correction on Freshy's part. What she meant to say was the sound of my voice as I'm yelling at her. I think that's what she meant to say. But no, I'm just kidding. Just being able to take the field, and it's kind of, as I tell people, it's my passion. Obviously, as a coach, it's our craft, and it's my sanctuary. It's where probably, aside from at home with my family, it's probably where me as a coach, where I feel most comfortable, is out on the pitch, out on the field. So, and just, being around them, they keep you young, and then, but all coming together, working on an objective with the intent of getting better every day. So it's kind of like Freshy said, it's an accumulation of a ton of little things that all add up, and you don't start to realize them until you can't do them every day.
Soccer already, I think, is one of the safer as far as like this being able to be socially distanced. I mean, it's a larger field, it's outdoors. Have there been any discussions of any changes that would have to be made? Maybe like players on the bench needing to wear masks. Has anything been brought up so far? They're
kind of working on a back to school plan, and I think part of that will consist of, okay, how are we going to tackle a sport-specific training plan for keeping in mind all the protocols? What will training look like, right? As far as in the locker room, proximity, masks. When are you wearing masks? Trying to social distance your training sessions, your practices as much as possible. And then on games, once we get into that season, I know there's been discussions, but there definitely hasn't been any definitives in terms of, hey, when you're on the bench, you will do this. When you're on the field, you will do this. When we're traveling, because buses is another big one, right? Can't quite escape that one. So a lot of talks, and the odd thing about it is every time we have it seems like every time you answer a question that comes up, it just seems like there's about 8, 9, 10 more that line up behind it. So So a lot of things are being looked at, and I have full faith in our leadership, and they're also open to our, the questions and the recommendations or thoughts that we might have as well. So I'm grateful for that.
Coach, how's your program looking for the upcoming season?
There's no real way you replace a player such as Byanka, such as Freshy, because she went from being this past year in the span of about 6-7 months. She went from not having a single offer to having 18 offers and being one of the most heavily recruited players, female athletes to come out of Ysleta. She had a great, highly decorated season. And so now it's kind of the quote unquote next man or next woman up, right? And after year one, where a lot of it was implementing, it's such heavy lifting on the culture implementation side. I think as we transition into year two, now it's the returning, our returning student athletes, they know what to expect. They know it's now just a matter of who's been putting in the work during the summer, who's going to put in the work in the fall, and who's going to answer the bell on day one. And we also have to adjust to a new district, with UIL realignment. There's three schools left our district, and one, entered our district, which is the one entering our district is very strong. And the three that left our district were really good district foes as well. So a lot of things for us to adjust to on top of all the COVID stuff, but I think we'll be ready, and maybe we can surprise some people. We're excited.
What are some highlights for you as a player from your senior season? What were some of your favorite parts?
Well, from the very beginning, as Coach was saying, in June, I believe it was in June, I got my first offer. My junior year, I wasn't really expecting much for my senior year because I didn't really have that guidance of, college. But I started talking to Coach Cano and one of my teachers, Mr. Tovar, and they kind of helped me. They guided me through that process.
So I was going to ask you guys about this anyways, but you guys both mentioning the recruiting process. I mean, yours probably, I would guess, with soccer being in the fall, was wrapped up before all this happened. But what an interesting times. I really feel for young student athletes in all sports right now, because it's so hard for them to be seen. And it's for us, it's a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of highlights, huddle stuff. But, it's just always easier to meet in person, kind of feel that, see if that chemistry's there, see if there's a good fit. What are some of y'all's thoughts? So maybe you can talk about your individual recruitment, but Coach, you're I'm sure you're more in trying to figure out how to recruit, have future players be recruited in a time when it's really hard to actually get your eyes on them. What are some of your thoughts on recruiting in this? I can't say the phrase that Coach told me not to say anymore. He doesn't want to hear any word unprecedented, but in this uncertain time, what is y'all's thoughts?
Uncertain. There you go. Well, yeah, no, I think you're nail on the head. I think it's going to kind of be a double whammy in terms of the class of 2020, how they were impacted on the tail end of their senior year. And kudos to them, across the country, because they had to make a lot of. I think they got a real taste of sacrifice in terms of all the final things that they thought were going to come their way, the proms, the award ceremonies, the graduations, the walking the stage. Some of them kind of got it, but not in the traditional sense. And then 2021, obviously they're being impacted on the front end with the unknown, of there's no end in sight, I guess, right now. They don't know. So you kind of have to be of the mindset of you hope for the best, but you prepare for everything. And from a recruiting standpoint, I think you're right. I think that, you're going to see a mixture of with pretty much everybody. So, in the college soccer world, and I know it's affected a lot of institutions differently, some sports more than others, but you pretty much have, for the most part, all organizations, all associations at the college soccer level playing in the spring, with the exception of D1. D1, you have some D1s that have already declared as a whole in terms of fall sports. But the impact that's going to have, you'll have, for example, at the junior college level, a lot of seniors or not juniors, but a lot of the 2 years, the 2-year students, they graduate in December and move on. So now playing in spring, they may not get to play. You'll have some that, D3, D3, D2, and AIA. What are they going to redshirt kids? How is that going to impact the incoming 2021 kids, right, when they graduate? And some of these 2021s, some of them have offers already, but they have to prepare for the possibility that, what am I going to do if I don't have a season? I need to make the most of the existing film that I have, continue to work on communicating with coaches, obviously getting in the weight room, working on the performance training, and then on your sports specific training, your technical training. So I think what's important and what can, I think, be confusing for student athletes is, it's, for lack of better words, it's unprecedented, right? But it's also one of those where the recruiting process, it's significantly different, but it doesn't stop. It's just being adjusted. I know from a D1 standpoint, D1 college coaches that I've been speaking with, a lot of them have, they've had to really step back because the dead period, the no contact period, I guess, keeps getting pushed back. So I know that's obviously wreaked some havoc with them as well, and as far as their recruiting procedures and their recruiting process. But yeah, I think here locally at Ysleta, we're doing the best that we can in terms of also promoting our existing student athletes. The ones that, I never push it on our student athletes, but if they say they really want to play at the next level, it's indicate kind of just like how I did with Freshy, is breaking down for them what it really means. Because there's a difference between wanting liking the idea of playing at the next level, and then once you find out what it's going to really take, do you still want to do it? So giving them that opportunity. I know at a school like Ysleta, it's normally not expected, but we've had, we have three rising seniors right now that are already looking at, between the three of them, in just the last 2 months, they've received, I want to say about 8 offers. And they're working, they're being coachable, they're working, they're putting in the work. We have some talent, young talent as well. That are they capable of it? Do they have the potential? Yeah. And if they indicate that they want, our job is to advocate for them and promote them and work with them, regardless of what the environment may be, whether it's COVID or we go back to traditional. But we have to be of the mindset to keep working, no matter, we adjust to the circumstances, but we put our head down and keep working.
Don't forget to like and follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels, your favorite athletes, their teams, and more. A day in the life. We got you covered. Until next time, stay safe and be well. Peace.